If I may read your comment here on the word God, this is humorous, showing the pitiful superstition of ignorant people. Luke, recording the life of Paul, so brilliantly seems to tower above this ignorance. I just wanted to ask you, though, about the ignorance here. So the ignorance is to assume that a human person can be a God or God. Was that your point?
Well, from their angle, they had a very these people in Malta had a very limited idea. They thought of many gods, of course, and so obviously Paul, who escaped so miraculously, must be a god. From their angle, that was paganism. You could then add that from the biblical point of view, the judges, Jesus said, can be called gods. So from a biblical perspective, which these dear islanders did not have, no such thing was true of Paul.
Right, because Paul in himself, as you know, in 1 Corinthians 8, he says, with regard then to eating food sacrificed to idols, we know that an idol in this world is nothing, and that there is no God but one. If, after all, there are so-called gods, whether in heaven or on earth, as there are many gods and
Yes,
many lords.
yes,
So Paul himself, of course, we're not calling Paul ignorant, but
no,
he himself believed in that there were gods. Is
yes.
that correct reading
Of
of this?
course, absolutely. Paul recognized that the nations had various gods, and those gods Paul would have defined, I think, as demons, but he certainly recognizes other gods, and these pagan people in Melita in Malta definitely would have believed that. Paul gets above all of that. He says, well, these other gods, which aren't really gods in the strict sense, they're certainly not the one God, is to be compared with the one God who is the Father. 1,300 times in the New Testament, the one God is defined as the Father. But yes, gods can have a secondary meaning in Scripture too. That's perfectly right.
Right. So it's not wrong for a Christian like Paul to admit, to recognize
Oh, yeah,
other
of
gods,
course.
little g,
Yes,
but that does not mean, obviously, Paul was an ignorant pagan
not at all.
like these islanders seem to be.
Yes.